all crept in. This is the light crowd today. That is so cool. We get to go and do some really deep work. Thank you for Seth Pincus, our musician, and now our Sunday service staff person who's here to support us and make everything go smoothly. Thank you so much. And this is Sheevaun Moran, and she runs a center called Energy Healing.
Energetic Solutions.
Energetic Solutions, sorry. I haven't had my cup of tea yet this morning. Energetic Solutions up in Huntington Beach, and I didn't know this until today, but she has actually been there for 15 years after she left the corporate world, so she's going to tell us more about her center, and her topic today is, it was going to be the 2-minute meditation, but then it's now the alchemy of meditation. So we're going to go deep into those meditation techniques. Welcome, Colin. So I think a lot of people are out there doing Easter egg hunts today and having brunch at some fancy restaurants. So for those of us that are here, thank you for keeping your divine appointment. And there's a reason that you're here, and there's a reason that we're here. So it'll just be perfect. My topic today is about trust and surrender. And my purpose for being here is, as I go through my journey and learn the things that I do and go through my path of discovery, I have one thing that I do immediately, and that's I share it with all of you and all of my clients and students. And that's what I'm here for. I learn and discover and grow, and my immediate thing to do is to turn around and share. The journey of trust and surrender has been an interesting one for me, as I'm sure it has been for the rest of you. It can be so difficult to get out of our heads and turn over and surrender to something that is far greater than what our minds can imagine. When I used to hear the word surrender, my heart would kind of tighten up, and I used to have this image of a war scene where somebody would be laying down their arms and be at somebody else's mercy and be prisoners of war. And that was the image that I got when I heard the words, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Are you kidding me? And it took me a long time to really get my head and my heart around the idea that surrender simply means taking in the advice and the guidance and the love and the information of a higher source. And it's really no different than walking into a classroom and you're in Chemistry 101, you don't know the first thing about chemistry, and you walk into that classroom and you decide that you're going to attend every day and do the homework and listen to the lecture of the professor. You are surrendering yourself to the knowledge of a greater source, knowing that you're going to be guided and taught and taken care of, and at the end of that surrendering process, you will have learned something. So that's really all we're talking about in this surrender process, is that we are recognizing that there is a source that has far more information than we could ever have, and we're simply going to pause and allow ourselves to listen to that higher source, so that we can then learn more and take it in and have benefit of it, and we ourselves will then be expanded. So why would we not do this every day in every way, every opportunity that we have? Because when we get into that state of surrender, our paradigm shifts in a way that sometimes will compromise the ego that is all about survival. And as you've heard me mention several times, we need our ego. Our ego tells us to eat and to get sleep, and to run if there's a fire, and to dodge if there's a knife. Our ego is about survival. We simply want to allow our ego to be something that serves us rather than us serving it. And that is really the difference. It's no different than walking into a classroom and seeing the teacher has got a handle on things where the kids have all gone crazy. And the kids are not learning anything while they're not listening to that at the higher knowledge. So surrendering can be sometimes a process, and you may think that you're surrendering, but anytime there is anything other than just going forward and knowing, you're not surrendering. The lease here is up in the suite here on August 31st. And it was originally going to be June 30th, but we had some adjusted payments a year and a half ago by the management company, and so they put 2 more months on the end of the lease. And I never really understood at the time why that was happening, but now I understand as I've been getting a lot of visions and meditations and confirmations from intuitive friends that the place that we'll be moving into will be ready around the first week in September. Had our lease been expired when it was supposed to be in June 30th, we would have had a gap there that would not have allowed us to move into the space that has been universally conspired to be exactly ready for us. And so I live in this world, I come here every day, and things are always happening and always shifting and changing, and I have stopped trying to figure them out. And I have really gotten to the place of, okay. And I've been told intuitively the new place that we're going to is quite a bit more rent. And I've also been told that it's okay, that it will all be taken care of, that everything is going to be there. And getting into that place of trust and finally saying, I get it, that this has all been divinely worked. When I show up for service, everything will come in and come into process for me. And it was not easy. There was a lot of struggle, and for those of you who've been coming here for a long time, you know, we've gone through a lot of changes here at the temple, and the energy here is mine. I'm the one that's here 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week. So the energy that comes from me is the energy imprint that's here. And I finally recognized that thing that I always know, but sometimes I forget, is there is no out there. Everything is simply a reflection of what's in here. And when I really got my head around that, I recognized that I had to feel trust and abundance in here. I had to feel success in here. I had to feel taken care of in here. And as I aligned all of my emotions inside, then it simply started to get reflected outside. And it's so easy to get caught up in this feeling of separation, that we are this human being, and we need to eat, and we need to sleep, and then there's this world out there that's happening, and this natural feeling of watching what's happening and trying to gauge it and watch it and figure it out and outsmart it. Many people are still trying to outsmart their surroundings. How's that working for you? Yeah, I know. You don't have to outsmart your surroundings. Strategizing, planning, projecting, analyzing, thinking, contemplating, worrying, trying to see if you can see what's coming around the corner and prepare for it. Every time you do anything along those lines, you are affirming that things are happening to you instead of things happening from you. And I know that sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to pause and say, whatever I see out there, it just is. In some way, in some form, I've created it. And it's not your fault, it is your creation. And I want to even avoid using the word responsibility, because even that sounds kind of heavy. Nothing is your fault, nothing is your heavy responsibility, but everything is your creation. Good news, if you created it, you can recreate it. I was working with somebody yesterday, we had our holistic healing fair, and she was lamenting over the idea that she got divorced, and because her husband had racked up so much debt in the settlement for the marriage, in order for her to have taken the house, she would have also had to have taken on the debt. And so she ended up giving the house to the ex-husband, who moved in, his young girlfriend, and the indignity of the fact that this was her house, her rosebuds, her beautiful white picket fence, and that she had lost this. And she was so much in the idea that she had lost her marriage, lost her home, lost everything that she had done. And getting her to turn her perspective around that she had created that. And if she had created it once, didn't she, of course, have the skills to create it again? If you make a chocolate cake and you know all the recipe and all the ingredients, what universal law says you only get to make it once? Isn't it better as you keep on making it because you get to improve? And as I helped her get her head around the idea that you could actually recreate that faster, quicker, and easier, and maybe even better, because you had to do it as a learning process. The first time, it was simply a template to pick up and recreate. We forget how powerful we are. We think that things, when they come from the outside and we don't recognize that we create them, not only do we lose the power to think that something out there is got a hold on us, but we forget that we have the power to create anything we want. And we have only to go inside and get in alignment. Our guest speaker last weekend, two weekends ago, when she was talking about the Huna philosophy and going down into the deeper lower self, and that's getting that place into alignment, where the higher self and the conscious mind and the lower self are all thinking along the same thing, same guidelines. And that's like driving on a freeway on a clear day. You've got all the lanes to yourself, and you're in fifth gear, and it's flat, and there's no traffic, and the sun is shining, and you've just got one finger on the wheel here, and your foot is barely tapping on the gas. That's how easy it can be, navigating through your life. It can be that gentle and that effortless, or it can be traffic, frustration, holding on to a wheel is out of alignment, stopping, starting, braking, navigating, moving, dodging in and out. It's really up to you. I really want to emphasize that everything that you experience is something that has gotten created inside. And this is a really empowering idea. And I know that I'm already hearing silently about half of you saying, but there's this, but there's that. Okay, no buts. We don't get this. There are no buts. This is the power of your creation. You are energy. Energy creates. It's only just like a light. That energy is coming through that light, and you can choose to put a cloth on it and make it not so light. But that doesn't change the fact that the energy, the light is there. Putting a cloth on it makes you not see it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's there. Your energy to create is there, even though you may or may not see it. It never goes away. You never lose the ability. You never lose the power. You can change it in a moment like that. And trust and surrender is how you get there. How do you get to trust and surrender? Meditate is one way. Meditate is a huge way. Getting the universal perspective is what you gain when you meditate. And I have a little trick that I use, not a trick, but a method. When I'm feeling like my head is talking too much, I do a mantra. And it was one that actually Seth and his group, Pranam, introduced to me. The mantra of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Sanskrit for may all beings of creation live in peace, love, and joy. Whenever I hear that chatter going on, I just repeat that mantra. And sometimes I do it once or twice, sometimes I have to do it for 20 minutes. But it calms me down and it stops all that chatter. And those words are so holy May all beings of creation live in peace, love, and joy. When you make a powerful statement like that, you are getting out of self and into community. And you're saying that no matter what happens, no matter what I do, no matter what my path is, may it be that every action I take into account the whole of the community. And when you make statements like that, that tell the universe whatever actions you take are going to be of service, then you have gotten out of scarcity and lack and fear and all of those dark cloths that will be covering up your light. So it not only stamps out the monkey chatter, but it gets you into that place of oneness that recognizes every action that you take affects everything. I was reading some studies when I was preparing for the Conscious Anatomy class a couple of months ago, and there was this team of doctors that had this woman who was dying, and they had her set up to these electric meters because they were testing her heart. And as she was getting ready to pass, she went into a state of prayer. And she prayed for about 15-20 minutes. And they went back and they looked at the gauge of the measurement of the energy on those machines, and it was something like 500,000 times more powerful when she was praying. It actually went off the charts as compared to when she was not. When we pray, when we sit here together in this opening meditation, and I ask you to take that heart space energy and send it out all over the world, and we do that every Sunday, don't we? I want you to think for a minute and recognize the power of when all of us are doing that together. I'm assuming you're listening to me, that you're not off doing your shopping list someplace else. But when we do that together, when we create that together, I can't even quantify mathematically the power of what that is when we do that together. When we do it alone, it's powerful. But then when we do it together, my guides are telling me to imagine our Earth and imagine a blanket of white going around it about 100 times. That's what just this group of, 8 or 9 of us accomplish when we set those intentions together in a circle, in a vortex, with pure intent, saying the same words. That's how powerful our intentions are. So I want you to recognize when things aren't going well in your life, the power that you have to turn it around. I'm going down to Oceanside in a couple of weekends. 2 weeks from today, Deborah Shea is going to be our guest minister. And I'm going down to a 3-day conference with Lisa Nichols. She wrote the book, No Matter What, and she was one of the guest actresses on The Secret. And she's an African-American woman with a big afro and colorful clothing, and I mean, she's just vivacious and exciting and wonderful to listen to. And she's just got this charismatic personality. And she's got a mentorship program. And I have no idea how much it costs, but I know I'm doing it. I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know where the money's going to come from. But I have this feeling, this connection, that I'm going to be coming under her mentorship. And it just is. I'm just going to trust that the universe is going to make this work for me, because I feel this, when she mentioned this mentorship program, not only did it start me wanting to get into hers, but I started one of my own. Just setting the intention that I was going to go and work under a mentor who was going to show me how to do it. 4 weeks before I even took the class, the energy shifted and I started one of my own. That's how powerful the energy is. When you set intention and don't have anything in your heart or your mind that tells you to the contrary. We create our own roadblocks. I have a little pink ball in my office that says I create my reality, because it reminds me that if I have a thought, just like a ball, and I'm going to hurl it out there, and at some point in time, on my path, I'm going to come across that ball. It is the thought that I created. At some point in time, in some way, some shape, every thought I create, I will eventually stumble upon. And I can get really mad and upset and frustrated and annoyed that that is in my path. And I can pretend that somebody else created that to stumble it up, and why do I have to navigate that? Or I can acknowledge that I created that. And I can look at it and laugh and say, what was I thinking? What was I thinking on that day that caused me to create that reality that I am now experiencing that's in front of me? So having a sense of humor really helps. And when I lose things, I mean, I never, ever, ever, ever lose my keys. And for some reason right now, thank goodness Seth was here to open the door, and Adavan drove with his car keys, because I have no idea where my keys are right now. And so I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, I must have thought somewhere in my mind that I've lost something, that I'm losing something. That is the only thing that could account for the reality of my lost keys being in front of my face. So as we leave here today and we drive away, I'm going to go back over my mental inventory over the last couple of days and search for any thought that I have that says I'm losing something, because I created my keys getting lost. Period. How's that grab you? Any questions?
You mentioned The Secret and the mentorship. What's The Secret?
That's that movie that came out, that was The Law of Attraction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and there was Deepak Chopra, Reverend Michael Beckwith, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Lisa Nichols, and probably half a dozen other people that they interviewed that were documentary actors in the DVD, based on the book.
Yeah.
Any other questions? You normally have a question? No? Actually, Pearl normally has a question. Not today?
I usually do, but I'm just coasting.
Normally when I say there's any questions, Pearl's the first one with her hand up. But
I usually do, but my mind is so... I'm just coming out of the flu, so I'm still getting back to the living.
Oh, I wonder where you were last week. We missed you.
I missed you too.
Feeling
I was
better?
here in spirit.
Good, good. So, what's in your life right now? What are you experiencing? Are you experiencing a joyful, loving, romantic relationship? Or are you happy that you're single? Are you unhappily single? Or are you maybe believing that love doesn't work out for you? Do you have the career of your dreams? Earning the money of your dreams? Are you stepping into your power? Do you have the community and the friends that you love? And I'm not here to tell you you're doing anything wrong. I'm just here to tell you that you're doing. That's it. We don't do right, we don't do wrong. We simply do. And everything that we do shows up in front of us. And there is no right, there's no wrong, there's no credit, there's no blame, there's no good, there's no bad. It just is. And if you're happy with what you see, keep on doing it. And if you're not, decide to do something different. My guides have a real sense of humor. They're telling me that if you're sitting in a restaurant and you don't like the meal in front of you, order something else. Order something else on the menu. You get to. That's your right. Step into self-worth. I think I mentioned this last weekend, and it bears mentioning again because it's just, it really, really struck me. I saw this image of a couple with tattoos on their arms, and the woman's tattoo said, "Every saint has a past," and her husband was cuddling her, and on his arm it said, "And every sinner has a future." And what I really take from that is, just because you've made mistakes in the past, maybe you were mean to the dog, maybe you weren't nice to your parents, maybe you mouthed off to a teacher, maybe you weren't there for a friend, we've all done it. That doesn't mean that you don't have this self-worth. Please don't look at all of your past things that you've done and decide that you aren't good enough to create something beautiful. And I want you to really take into account your inner dialogue. Do you really believe you deserve everything, that you're worthy? You are divine sparks of the universe, having a human experience. And everything that you have done has been simply a part of that human experience for purposes of learning. And I know we could all sit here and go around a circle and I could ask you to share the thing that you're most ashamed of, and we've all got them. But if we put them in a pile and said, take one of those experiences, we'd probably take back our own. Because we recognize that we've learned something from it, that it has value, and that's why we had it. Because life just circles around and brings us whatever it is that we need to process. And if you've got a job that you're working in that you're really frustrated and you haven't got the gumption to quit, the universe will manage it so that you get fired. Because it's important for you to experience shifting out of a situation that isn't working for you. And so it just works with you. And if you recognize all the lessons and all the things that you're supposed to learn, lesson over. If you don't, the universe will present it to you again. And again. And again. And again. And again. And if you don't get it while you have a physical matter body, you'll get those things presented to you on the other side when you're just energy. Because we're energy before we come to this earth, we're energy while we have a body, and we're energy afterwards. We live in a safe universe, no harm can come to us. We cannot starve, we cannot die, we cannot truly, truly be harmed in any way. We're safe. And you don't get to escape the lessons when you die. They go with you. The old saying, you can't take it with you. Well, what you do take with you are the unlearned lessons. You do take those with you. So why not figure them out now, while you have a body to enjoy? This is the ride. When we get to have fifth dimensional energy inside of us, so grand and so great, working together with this third dimensional matter, we get to experience what it feels like to manifest from the fifth dimension in the third dimension. That's that roller coaster ride. That's like that. All this work that we're doing is that acceleration, that climb, that climb, that climb. And then when you get to experience what it feels like to manifest in the third dimension, that's that beautiful drop, that ride, that excitement. It's easy to manifest in the fifth dimension when you don't have a third dimensional body. It's kindergarten. That's why our guides and our angels are so in awe of us, because we're taking this journey. That's why they help us, support us, guide us, companion us, do everything they can to help us realize the power of what we can do. And so it is. Any questions? Let's turn the mic over to our guest speaker.